Hello everyone, and welcome to the back garden yard. Well, today we're talking about the July garden. That's right. Even though we've got cucumbers hanging down everywhere, I mean they're just hanging high and hanging low. We've got the cucumbers, we've got the squash, we've got the peppers. Everything is coming in great. So why are we planting again? Well, by mid-July, everything is going to be just about reached the end of its cycle. The insects are going to be out here just chewing, and we're going to need to replace a lot of plants. So what I'm going to do is show you what I'm going to be replacing and how I'm replacing them. So over here next to the calabash squash and the zucchini squash and the taro, I'm going to plant some pole beans, and this is exactly the trellis that I used for the snow peas. The snow peas are gone, so I'm going to try to do half the row in Blue Lakes and half in Kentucky Wonders. Going to first I'll show you the row, and as you can see, these are just ridiculous close. They're not just close, they're ridiculous close. So I'll go ahead and just cover them with a little dirt, and we'll water them in. Go. And now we'll plant the Kentucky Wonders the same way. And I'll show you how they look in the row as I cover them. And these are, of course, pole beans that are going to come up and catch this trellis and climb it. Okay, and that's all there is in July. And today we're going to clone tomatoes, and we're also going to plant some seeds that we want to have for our July garden. And that will come in August, when the rest of all this garden that's coming in is just about finished or may be finished. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these water bottles, and I've already cut one, and I'll show you. You cut it down to this label, and then you have the top. You want to cut it through the top, and that way then when you get the clone tomatoes out, you can pull the actual this apart, and that way then you'll be able to get the tomato out without hurting the stem and the roots. They won't have to come through the little hole. So I'm going to get 4 early girl clones, and then I'll show you how I cut this. And it's really simple. You just go ahead and cut right through it down to the bottom of the label here, and then we cut around it. And then we take the label off because they got it semi-glued on. Okay, and now I've got my 2 containers for my Better Boy and my Early Girl tomatoes, and all I need to do now is to put some water in them. And of course, I do like to use rainwater for seed starting and for cloning. So we actually had rain last night, pretty hard rain, and I have collected a good bit of rainwater here. So let's fill this up. And let's get another one. All right, so I've got my cloning containers ready. Okay, so here the Better Boy tomato plants are, and so here's one that looks very nice for cloning. And they say that it's best to cut it at an angle like this. And let's see if I can get a close-up of how I cut it at that angle. There we go. Anyway, and so this is the perfect clone here. And then we're going to come on down. I want to get 4 and I'll keep the best 3 into the garden using. So and these are the better boys. You want to make sure they get down in that hole. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so there are my cloned Better Boy tomatoes, and now I want to go do the same thing with the early girls. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go over there and get them, and I'll come right back with them and put them in the water. So here are my early girls, and they're going to go under this table out of the direct sunlight. And here are my Better Boys, and they're going to go right down here too. And I like to put them under this table to root, and the reason is I just don't want them to get the strong direct sunlight of June. Okay, so we're going to now start our seeds in the summer garden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a few seeds in these bowls and put some rainwater in there and let them soak while I'm getting the dirt ready for the pots. These are the Korean cucumbers. You can see the writing on the package there. Then we're going to put crookneck squash, and I'm only going to use 6 of these seeds. The hope is to get 3 or 4 good plants. And now we'll put a little rainwater in each bowl, just a little to soak them. Okay, that's all we need. And so now I've got them soaking, and I'm only going to soak them for a few minutes. This is just to give them a little boost here on coming up. And it's the middle of June, and we want these to be up and running by July. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put these in these larger pots. And the reason I'm putting them in the larger pots is we're going to grow them out on this table for quite a while before we put them in the ground. And the reason I do that for the summer garden is that way I can monitor them for disease and for bugs and stuff like that, and keep them looking nice. And then they'll have a big old root ball, and I'll throw that in the ground, and hopefully then they'll start producing real quick before they get attacked by all the insects that will inevitably be out there. So that's what. So I'm over here where I harvested part of these beets. We're really enjoying these beets this year, but I'm just going to take the extra dirt that I have mounded up, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to use these in my seed starting pots. So I'm going to just go ahead and take this and put it in this bucket. And there's plenty of soil still over here, and of course it's coming back to the garden anyway. We're going to take, this is my special seed starting mix here, and I saved this just for the summer, and it's looking really nice. And this is the dirt that I just got from the garden. So what I'm going to do is fill the pots up about 3/4 with this, and let's go ahead and do one. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take the seed starting mix and put on top. Okay, folks, so the containers are now ready for the planting of the soaking seeds, and I can see where they're starting to absorb a little water, and that's all we want them to do. We don't want them to get so mushy they can't come up through the soil. So the next thing we're going to do is, of course, wet this soil down, because you don't want to plant in the dry soil and then wash your seeds up. So I'm wetting the soil down in each of these pots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little trench in all of these pots for the seeds. Just like that, with a little stick, just make a little trench. And same here. And same here. Just deep enough to lay the seed down in that trench. So let's put some seeds in there. There's one. Now I prefer doing this versus poking them down into the soil, because it's easier for them to come back up. Now what I'm going to do, now that I've got them down in the trenches, is I'm going to take some more of my potting mix and I'm going to cover them with it. Or my seed starting mix, and I'm going to cover them with that, just like this. And there's a little rock. We don't want to cover it with a rock. Okay, and that's all we're going to do, and then I'm going to wet it back down. Same here. I've learned. So I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of these seeds. Okay, so now you can see in these pots where I've got the cucumber seeds laying. There's only one for this pot because I counted 9. And then here are the yellow crookneck squash. And then of course I've already planted these. So that's how they look right before I plant them. And I'm going to go ahead and cover them up and water them in. Okay folks, well, I hope you enjoyed this video today. We've got all the zucchini, yellow squash, and cucumbers planted here, just waiting for them to come up. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and that way you'll be getting a notification when the plants come up here, because I'm going to be showing these plants for the July garden very often. And then of course we still have these tomatoes down here rooting, and then I've also got those pole beans over there that have come up. So we're going to have a nice July garden coming, and there's many more things to show the rest of this year. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.